before you add fish to your pond, there's a few things we need to do. Now, if it's an existing pond, the pond's been up and running, you got fish in there, everything's great, but you got some new fish. Before you put those fish in, quarantine them. You know, there's so many heartbreaking stories of people that have these, you know, beautiful, huge koi that they've had for years. They got a great deal, and they found, you know, they wanted something new. They wanted a butterfly koi or something with a little bit different color on it. They went out and grabbed one, they stuck it in there, and then all of a sudden, boom, everybody's sick, and those fish that they've had for years are now, you know, they're gone. So quarantine any new fish before you add them in with existing fish. And now if you have a new pond, it's another thing to think about. I mean, a lot of people say, hey, well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw some goldfish in there. You know, just make sure it's okay, test the pond. I mean, I can't tell you how much that's a bad idea. You know, next thing you know, you're overrun with goldfish. They're hard to get rid of. It's hard to get them out of there. Your whole pond, your capacity for fish is taken up with these goldfish. You want to add new fish in, and now we're dealing with quarantine and mixing them. So if you want a koi pond, let's start with just koi, and and I know this is tough, but you know, why not kind of plan it out, figure out, you know, how many koi, when they're grown, this pond can handle. You know, and when they're little like this, you could put a lot in there, but what happens when they're this big? You know, you need to figure out how many of them that are this big can I have in my pond, and then go out, and if you can, at one time, get them. You know, if you can have 10 fish, get 10 fish, get 10 koi, and get 10 nice koi, get 10 koi that are a mix of colors and shapes that you like and look good, you know, and put them all in the pond at the same time, and then that's it. I mean, that would be the ultimate solution to so many people's problems down the road with koi. You know, add a spawning net in a few years, and then any babies that you have in there are fine. You know, it's a closed system. Those fish are good, and they'll be able to live together for a long, long time. But back to our story. We've got a new pond, brand new, no fish. You've dug it, the liner's in, everything's ready to go. Don't jump the gun. If you filled it with city water, any water that's had any kind of treatment, chlorine, you need to dechlor it first. So put in some dechlorinator, some Pond Start. There's some really good products. They're not very expensive, and they're sure worth the, you know, peace of mind of doing it. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to spend the money on dechlor, quit now. Seriously, fill it back in right frickin' now, because that's such a low expense that on something that's going to cost you so much money going on, because the ponds are not expensive to maintain, but they are an ongoing thing. And if you're not going to, you know, if you can't see forking out the $5 for a big, huge bottle of dechlor, stop now. So dechlorinate the pond. Of course, you could run the water through your waterfall for a week or so before you know, to get away from doing dechlor. But if that's what you're thinking, quit now. So we've dechlored, or we used well water. Still, don't put your fish in yet. I want you to run it. Run your pump. Run your waterfall. Run your filtration system. If your pump is going to die, if you've got a lemon pump, it's going to die soon. Let's go ahead and find out if you've got a good solid pump. Let's make sure that, you know, your fittings are fine. You know, you're going to find leaks. You're going to find problems. That fantastic waterfall design you had is great until the vibration in the hose, you know, falls through and falls off the back of the waterfall, and all of a sudden you got an empty pond. So let's run that sucker, check the systems, let it run for a week or two, you know, be a little patient while you're out there, you know, scoping out the koi that you're going to get for it. You check your systems. Once your filter's running pretty good, especially if you have a filter that can handle adding some bacteria to it, do that. Add some beneficial bacteria. Get that started. Add some plants. You know, get some plants added to the pond. Let's get it running. And then when we're ready to add the fish, and you've got the fish and they're going in the pond, throw in some cover. Now, I used to just tell people, throw in a trash can lid, and you know, because that always worked. But now I've been told I have to be much more specific because of one particular situation where it's like, oh, this trash can lid's not doing anything for me. Why not? Well, it's just sitting there at the bottom of the pond. Use a plastic trash can lid. What we're trying to do is float something, give some cover. When, you know, if you have a cat and you've ever moved, you know how the cat hides for the first few weeks? That's what your fish are going to be scared. They're going to want a place to hide. So plastic trash can lids, floating, frisbees, styrofoam, if you have, you know, a cooler cover, anything that'll float, throw it in there. You know, give them a place to hide. You know, give them a while to get used to the pond and to get used to seeing you kind of, you know, out of the corner of their eye. Because if you just throw them in there, they're going to be terrified, and it's going to be that much longer before you can get them to come up and let you feed them if that's what you want. So, you know, those are kind of the quick and dirty steps to what you should do before you